kind of know what fused glass is, but what do I do with it once I make it? Glad you asked. There's a bunch of things you can do with fused glass. A lot of them are really fun projects. So usually one of the first things people do is they'll make a coaster. And the coaster is really simple because it's basically just a square, and then you just add on whatever type of design that you want on this, and you put it into the kiln, and it comes out pretty much like this, like nice and flat. So it looks like a coaster. Really simple. When I first learned how to do fused glassing, coasters was the first thing I learned how to do, and I made a flower pattern, so it was really cool. So another thing you can do is jewelry. So you can make it something simple like this, like a heart, or using my favorite type of glass, which is dichroic, you can make something like this. So making jewelry is really, really simple, and if you want to make it for gifts, you can actually make a lot at one time depending on the size of your kiln. Another thing you can do is make ornaments. So for example, this tree. So this tree is again a prime example of different techniques to add some interesting detail to it. So you can make that. But one of the coolest things you can do is you can make something like this. What is it? It's a plate. And as you can see, it actually has a shape to it. You're probably thinking, well, that's great, but how do I get the shape in it? Again, glad you asked. So when I first made this, it's actually a two-step process. When I first made this, I put everything together to do the design on it, and then I put it into the kiln. Now I'm just going to go and use this as an example. So when it came out of the kiln, it was essentially flat, just like this. No shape to it whatsoever. So to get that shape, we use something called a mold. So this is what a mold looks like. It's usually made out of ceramic. As you can see, it kind of has a shape. And if I put this into it, voila, it looks just like it. So what you do is you put something that's shaped like this, nice and flat, on this mold, then you put it back into the kiln, and you put it on a certain schedule, and it'll heat it, but it's not going to heat it so much that it's going to lose all of its details. It's going to melt it just enough that it takes the shape of whatever mold you put it in. So in this case, again, it's a plate. So as you can see, this looks very similar to this. So that's how you get shapes into glass. Now you can use all different kinds of molds. You can use molds for bowls, you can use molds for plates, you can use molds for designs. It's actually limitless what you can do with it, but that's basically a overview of what you can do with fused glass.